There are moments in life when you cease to do the things that you normally did, things that you joyfully did, and now you are not able to do those things. Such times come crashing upon the individual facing that. To help us have that is our sister Cindy, and we are in the show, Painful Goodbyes. Welcome, Sister Cindy.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So who is Cindy? Maybe we may want to know who Cindy is.
My name is Sindisiwe Ncube, born on the 24th of February 1987. I grew up in Pinga Rural District under Chief Snamagonda at Chuzia village. That's where I grew up there. And also I attained my higher national diploma in human resources management at Bulawayo Polytech.
Okay, that's Sindisiwe. What does she like?
I like to socialize with a lot of people that I meet. And when I meet someone who is distressed or whose soul is down, I usually talk with them so that when we depart, that person's soul will be healed and give that person hope. I also like to play with kids and also to evangelize and also to work for the Lord.
Thank you. Beautiful, beautiful. So would you mind to tell us about your early childhood days? How were they like? Maybe you can describe them.
Oh, my early childhood days were so good, but however, I've lost some of the memories of my early childhood. I went to school at Chuzia Primary School from ECD up to grade 5. Then I had to transfer to Ingubo Primary School in Bulawayo for my grade 6 and grade 7. That's when I became part of the netball team at Ingubo Primary School. And there was a lot of competition compared to the rural schools. So I enjoyed being one of the students there, and I was also one of the top students at Ingubo Primary School.
Okay, so you used to play netball, and it was a very interesting
I was the
sport.
goal shooter for our team.
Okay, if only I knew what a goal shooter is, but I imagine that's the person who's close to the goal.
Yeah, always aiming to shoot so that we can move on as a team.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Maybe what were the most joyous moments in your childhood that you can share?
The most joyous moments in my childhood, it was the time when I moved here to Bulawayo, when I was able to mingle up with a lot of students, and also I was no longer walking a long distance to school because at home, I usually used to walk 6 kilometers or so to my primary school, but here in Bulawayo, it was just a kilometer or so. So it was good, and there was a lot of competition. Each and every month, we used to write the test. So I was motivated to keep on reading so that I could aim higher and also be one of the best students within my family. Because my father usually gave us some presents. The one who excelled well, he didn't even look at the grade which you are in. As long as your marks are good, you're going to be awarded with a present. So we're always fighting for that position.
So that you can get a present.
Yes. I remember being one of the students who usually went to our public library at Makwekwe so that we can get some novels, so that we can read and be able to write compositions, because at rural schools, it's hard for you to write English, the normal English. So because our teachers, they just don't teach us the way here in Bulawayo we're being taught. So I made a lot of competition that encouraged me to read many novels.
Okay. So besides the schoolwork, since you loved your schoolwork, besides the schoolwork, you spoke about netball. What other sporting activity did you like?
I liked netball and also athletics, though by that time I was not yet part of the school team. But I usually went there to support them and also for some exercises.
Did you run, or even if you're not part of the school?
Yes, I usually.
How fast did you run?
I was fast.
You were fast. So maybe when we are saying maybe there was number 1, number 2, maybe we're number 3, number 4, what number? Maybe out of 10 people.
At primary level, I was always with me number 7 to 8. But that changed when I went to secondary school at Sizani, because we've got a PE class.
Okay.
So we were usually practicing and practicing.
Okay.
And I ended up being one of the participants for athletics team.
Okay.
I was one of...
So then you graduated into the
yes,
athletics
I graduated
team. from being number 8
to
being part of the
top
athletics
3.
Top 3. Okay, so whenever there was number 1, 2, 3, you were part of those.
Yes,
that's very beautiful. Is there any other memorable thing that you can think about?
Yeah, it was the time when we went to compete at White City Stadium. That was the great moment for me because I participated there and I came up number 3. 3,200 meters.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Soon after the break, we'll hear more about her story and how she managed to maneuver through the difficult alleys of life. Welcome back to the show, Painful Goodbyes. And we have been listening to this story. Cindy has shared with us how joyful it was when she came to the city in Bulawayo to do her studies. She enjoyed schoolwork and she also enjoyed being part of the athletics team. And she was playing netball. And this has been a very good time for her. But then things changed. Cindy, take us through that journey when things changed in your life, from having this kind of a life where you were enjoying your childhood, but then things changed. Tell us about that.
It was in 1999 when I was doing my grade 7 studies. I was preparing for my exams. Then I remember one day I came late home. I was asked by my auntie to take care of her grandchildren. So she came late that day, and I also had to arrive home late. My stepmother was so angry at me, and she slammed my head on top of on the wall. Then a few days later, as I was going to the shops with my elder sister, I saw an image that it was tall, and it looked like an old man. He was carrying a spear and trying to pierce my heart. So I had to fight for my life. As I was trying to fight for my life, I felt dizzy and then I fell down on the road. She couldn't realize what was taking place, so people had to call her. Then she ordered me by my hand, then we went back home. But we forgot to tell our parents about such a situation. Then one day, as I was starting with my sister, she told me that when she just turned around to look at me, she realized that I was in a state like a person who has passed away. So she had to rush and call my parents. They came to attend me. Then I was taken to the hospital. So I was referred to Inguchen Hospital for some checkups. That's when the doctor informed us that I was epileptic.
Okay.
So I had some attacks, epileptic attacks. When those attacks occurred, I would just freeze and stand still. If you were talking to me, I would just keep quiet. I won't even answer you or even see me blinking my eyes. I'll be just more like a stage. So I remember one day I had an attack when I went to the bathroom. So my teacher realized that I have taken too long. Then she had to send my friends to go and take me. So I went back to the classroom to attend the class, but it was no longer the same because after having those attacks, for me to recall the lesson and join the other kids, it was so difficult.
Very difficult.
And also at primary school, I had to cross Masie Pambil Drive. And also when I was at secondary, at Sizani High School, I was crossing Masie Pambil Drive. So I don't know what happened because sometimes I would have the attack while I was crossing the road. So the drivers will pass by. I don't know how it happened, but I thank God that I'm alive. Nothing happened. So when I moved on to secondary school, that's when my teachers realized that it was difficult for me to continue doing practical subjects. I had to change and do accounts. So accounts was now my 9th subject. And during those days, I was on medication. My parents are not Christian, so they took me to a traditional healer. While he's taking medication from the hospital, I was also using some herbs from the traditional healer, though I didn't like them. So during that moment, my teacher said, it is best for you to take a gap year. Since you are now in Form 2, it's better for you to take a gap year. We'll reserve your place. So in 2002, I had to go back home with my parents. We stayed there. As days went by, I was now healed. I went for checkups. The doctor confirmed that everything is okay. You can now let go of your medication. Then it was in September when I was preparing to come back to school. The teachers sent some textbooks for me so that I can recall. As I was starting, I remember one day I felt the pain in my limbs, as if I'm stepping on top of many needles. I told my mother. She took me to the hospital as we were trying to find the money to travel to Bulawayo because we were referred to Mpilo Hospital. Then that pain was gone. Now I had the burning pain in my limbs. So it was as if someone has lit some fire. I was burning. Then we went to Mpilo Hospital. I was admitted. 2 weeks down the line, then I was paralyzed. So now at 15, I couldn't do anything for myself. Now I was like just a baby. My mother was the one who would bath me, feed me. So those were the moments. And many of the people of my age who knew that I was in the hospital, when they were told that I'm now paralyzed, no one was able to come and see me. They were so afraid. So usually the people who usually came to see me for visits, it were the elderly. Then we were to travel back home. I stayed there with my mother. For security reasons, when my mother went to the fields, I would be alone. The dogs were the security that I was provided the security with the dogs. So I had to stay there alone. I remember sometime when I was tired, I would call my mother and say, Mom, I'm tired. Can you just assist me? My father built a friendly toilet for me to use. So as days went by and the months went by, then I started to have some blisters.
On the feet?
On the feet. I was now able to move my body. So I started to crawl as a child. I was crawling as a child, trying to practice to walk because I told myself that I was not born like this. I was able to walk. But what has happened? So then I had to recall my name and say, but my father, why did you give me this name? It seems this name has got a lot of challenges. It brings a lot of challenges. Now I'm suffering. What have I done to you? My father said, I don't know anything. I gave you this name because it was a time when I was enjoying and celebrating that your mother survived from the war. She was not killed. That's why I said, I named you Sindisiwe. And I said, it's okay. But with those, I had the blisters, developed the blisters on my feet. So to an extent that no one, when I have the wounds, no one was able to come and see me in the room because it was so smelly. So my mother, they were still trying to find some medication, but no one was there to assist us. Until one day, there came a certain man. He was a traditional healer. He told us that I can assist you. Your child has got cancer. That was the time when I was shocked and said, cancer, what happened? Then he took me and he tried to heal me. When I was better, it was in 2004, he said, now you are healed, go back to your father. Then I went there. On that night, it was hard for me to sleep. Then early in the morning, my father was washing my feet. Then that wound was opened. One of the wounds, 2 wounds on my feet. They were positioned on the same position. Then when he opened that wound, I remember on my right hand foot, there was a sharp teeth that came out. And then on my left foot, it looked like a tree, just a small cut of a tree. It was green. So my father was surprised, what happened? Then he said, let's take you back to the traditional healer. We went back. I remember that day when we tried to cross Busi River, it was flooded. My father had to pick back me because I was still not able to walk. So we went there, he treated me, and my mother told him that I did not experience the puberty stage. So he gave me a medicine. It was a 5-liter gallon. I had to drink it. And I drank it. You know, when someone gives you a medicine and say it's going to heal you, you are going to drink it with more power, hoping that it's going to assist you. So I took that medicine. A few days later, and I saw my body was being cleansed. My mother took me to the doctor. He checked me and said everything is okay. But the challenge I've discovered is that of all these years, you didn't have blood. That's why you didn't experience puberty stage. So I went back home and I told my parents I want to start to try to walk. Then they had to look for crutches for me. Then I was always practicing to walk using my crutches, to an extent that one day I said, I'll now use one crutch. I practiced. Then one day I said, Mom, I want to go back to school. So can we look for assistant? There was controversy. By the time I mentioned that I want to go back to school, controversy resurfaced at my family. People were now so angry. Why are you going back to school? You have wasted a lot of money. So we had to walk 15 km or more searching for assistance. Then we found assistance. They said, I'm going to be enrolled at Daniko. By the time when we were supposed to go, my father refused and said, no. How is the community going to look up at me? It's not good. I'm going to support you. So then I enrolled at Lusulu High School, just for a month before the first term was ended. So when I went there, can you imagine coming from an A school, you're going to a rural district secondary school. It was a new school, bush boarding school. Then I was enrolled there. The zeal that I had from Ingubo Primary School and at Sizani, trying to, you know, at Sizani would usually speak in English. Now I was trying to speak in English, no one was replying me. They didn't even reply me in English. They would talk in Tonga and Ndebele. Then it was hard for me. But I tried. Within that 1 month, we wrote our exams, end of term exams. Then my results were not good, knowing that I was better years back. So I was not happy with them. And I told my father, I want to study hard. So he tried by all means and looked for some textbooks for me.
That was a very difficult moment, because it shifted from a place where you were able to do things for yourself. And if I can recount, you lost your education years, you lost your puberty, you lost your autonomy to be able to do things on your own. And that must have been very difficult. What feelings did you have about that kind of a situation?
Oh, my soul was so down. I did not look at myself, even if I was looking at the mirror. I did not look at myself and accept myself as a human being. I saw myself as a useless person. Right now, I'm no longer able to walk properly, even if I was now able to walk without crutches, but I was still not able to walk properly as other kids, and I was not wearing school shoes. I would put on rough ties, and some kids would ask me a lot of questions. By that time, I was not able to tell my story. And there are some teachers, I don't know what I can say about them. My doctor came to the school and told them my situation, and he asked them not to ask me any questions. But there is a one lady teacher who always made sure that she would mock me. I remember one day we were writing the exams. She said, at school the rules say you are supposed to wear full proper school uniform. Then you are wearing rough ties, you are not going to
an exam.
Yeah, he said, I will allow you to write the exams, but I will see how you are going to leave the room. So she took away my rough ties. Then my classmates said, what we have done, we're not going to assist here. They just left our exam room and went to the DH until our matron asked, where was I? Then they told her that I was still at the exam room. She had to come and fetch me. So because I was not able to walk without putting on shoes, that was the experience that I had to come across during that time.
That was a tough and hard experience. And it must have crushed your soul, because you are coming from a place where you are laughed at by your friends, and now this is your teacher, and the teacher does that kind of a thing. Now, when we come after the break, we are going to look at issues that have helped Cindy to become the person that she is and to be able to share her story. Please don't go away. We are right here in the show, Painful Goodbyes.
It's painful to say goodbye. It's hard to say I miss you. The time of thought is through some rose. I need you now, dear Lord.
Welcome back to the show, Painful Goodbyes. I'm with Sister Cindy, and she's been sharing with us a story that you must listen to. And she's told us how life then changed from a place where she was able to do things on her own to a place where she couldn't help herself and the losses that she encountered. But I'm wondering how, Cindy, you then came to a place where light was kindled and hope was kindled one more time in your life.
It happened one time that I had a dream. So in that dream, I was singing the songs from the SDA hymnal, but I was not an Adventist. I never knew about the SDA church because in the rural areas, we usually go and attend cultural programs. So that was the time when I told my mother that I was singing hymn number 52. Then she said, I will ask your siblings to buy you SDA hymnal. That was the time when I was not able to sing, but I would read those words. So that's when my hopes was now being built up. And also my sister and my niece, they usually wrote some letters to me telling me stories about Job, and also they bought me Steps to Christ and Desire of Ages. Those were the books that I usually read. Though during that time, my hope was not yet rekindled. But by the time when I was now able to walk, that was the time when now I saw the hand of the Lord and looked back. When I read the story of Job, I looked back at my life and said, but I was once paralyzed. Now I'm able to walk. I'm no longer using crutches. Then what can hinder me to continue with my life? That was the time when I said, no. I asked my father, it was in 2005, I said, I want to go to church, the SDA church. Though at first he said, no, I don't want you to go to the church. But I said, that's where I find hope. And I told my father, I said, isn't it there is a verse in the Bible that said, it's about David when he said, when they called me to the house of the Lord. So I told my father that there is a refuge for me at the church. So he allowed me to go to the church, and I was baptized at the August camp meeting at Chivil.
Oh, beautiful. That was your birthday,
your
spiritual birthday. So you were glad when they said to you, let's go to the house of the Lord.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, people say a lot of things. What words, besides what the teacher said, what words have hurt you badly?
I remember while I was still at Lusulu High School, I met a lot of men. When they saw me, they would just look at my skin and say, are you the child of a traditional healer? See that you have got a lot of marks on your skin. Then I would just keep quiet. And sometimes I will meet them, then they say, if only you could have listened to me and agreed to be my girlfriend, you would be having some STIs. Now you are sick. Then I'll say, how can you say I am sick? You don't know my gene. I'll just reply them and say, but you don't know my gene. Then I'll just walk. There was a policeman, Mr. Dube. He was always there for me. Whenever some of the men were attacking me, he would come for my rescue and take me back to school. And also the other ways that I remember is from my family members. It was hard for them to accept me now that I was disabled. So many a times it was a difficult situation for me to mingle with them. That was the time when I was a lone person. I was always alone each and every time.
Okay. So how did you come to a place where you were able to then, after all this negativism, where you are able to share your story in public like this? How did you arrive in that place?
There's a saying that says the Lord always sends some angels for you to take care of you. So the Lord sent some angels in form of my friend, Slindelo Kumalo. She didn't look at me as if I'm someone who is now no longer the same as her. She welcomed me and she would take me to church. We'll go together to Pelanda SDA Church. And that's where I met Makawe Dube. He always told me about my name, the meaning, biblical meaning of my name, and told me that you are saved. Whenever your soul is down, remember that you have been saved by the grace of God. So I would remember those moments. And Mrs. Mapenduga, she encouraged me to go back to school. Those were the people who were there for my life. Then I went back to school. I had to write my O-level exams again so that I can have 5 O-levels. Then I had to enroll at Bulawayo Polytech College.
Beautiful, beautiful. So this seems to be your support system, and these are the people that have lifted you from a place of being disappointed to a place of happiness. And I understand very well that you may have other people who are part of your support system. Besides this that you have mentioned, what else helps you besides the individuals that we are talking about?
What helps me is to mingle with other people who are disabled, just like me. So when we share our stories, you become part of that group, and you're able to accept yourself and realize that I'm not better than the other one. So we are the same. I've got a community, and during that time at college, I was part of the Bulawayo Polytechnic Paralympic team and also Bulawayo Paralympic team. We competed at the national level. So those were the moments that kept me going. Then I said, there are some people who are disabled. Their situation is more than mine. So they are able to do other things and they are well educated. Why can't I also do the same?
Okay. Oh, that's very, very beautiful. So somebody may be in your situation and they're thinking, let me throw in the towel, and things are very hard. What words of hope can you give to that kind of a person as a parting shot?
To the viewers, what I can say is that during the time when I was epileptic, there was a time when I almost committed suicide, but my sister was at my rescue, so I didn't do that. Whenever you come across some trials and tribulations in life, you might think that that's the end of the road. But what I can say is that you have to look yourself at the mirror and say, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I've got different talents that I have. Accept those talents and accept who you are. If you don't accept yourself and love yourself, no one is going to do that for you. So you have to accept yourself and move on in life and aim higher. As I was throwing javelin, I was always aiming higher and higher. And for your own information, I got a lot of awards, gold medals, silver and bronze when I was participating as one of the Paralympic members.
Thank you very much, Cindy, for sharing your story. For me, Cindy, and the crew behind the scenes, it's a wrap. Let's meet next time.